We're going to hop onto the POV of Cash as we watch him play in the most recent EU regional of the RLCS. Today's video is going to be about watching some highlight plays from the weekend, as well as talking a little bit about where the major standings stand now and the big news from this regional. Now, we are watching one of the French four playing against a non-French four here in the quarterfinals. After the Swiss, it seemed like the dominant French four had done what they needed to repeat and go to the major again. But a guy like Cash had a little something to say about it. Now, actually, in this game, despite the fact that he hit this nasty shot, this is not the game they won. Cash doubles this one in. That's the only goal they scored in the past couple games, and BDS actually ends up scoring a ton. But Williams Resolve eventually does get the win and keeps BDS at 8th now, or sorry, not 8th, but more tied for 5th. They don't make it through the quarterfinals, and that is big news because any team not making top 4 might not make it to another major. So BDS in a bit of trouble, and maybe Williams Resolve will be able to do it a couple times in a row and take that spot. It's hard to say, but for now, they have done what they needed to. So I wanted to go back, to here on Ivan's POV to see how this all gets set up. First, he fakes this flick high, drops the ball down for the low 50, and then immediately cuts to get a demo. Now, because he does that, Drally is forced to jump on his challenge. He might be able to get a better challenge under a different circumstance, but because he has to jump over the top of a demo, he ends up just pushing it straight into Rizer's, who gets to send it to the side wall. And now, going to Rizer's POV, Rizer's actually throws in a fake in this. He rushes up to this ball as if he's going to hit it, but he ends up backing off, and I think that could have something to do with Exotic, who a moment ago just feels backflipped. I think he would go up and try and beat Cash to this ball, but when he sees Rizer's going for it, he says, never mind, I'm going to pull off this, and it leaves just Monkey Moon left in net, who is completely out of boost, just rotated around to pick up a couple pads, and he is never going to be able to react to that perfect shot in time. So Cash should be the first one to hit a highlight. Our first highlight that we're going to cover. We'll show it one more time as we'll move on and talk a little bit about Vatira as well as Oxygen. Hopping on to Vatira POV as he plays against Oxygen in the Swiss. Now, this is actually another goal that comes in a losing effort, as you can see that Vatira is down 3 in this matchup against Oxygen, but they do actually end up winning the series. This is the only game they lose when they play in the Swiss. But, as we talked about the Elite French 4 previously, they actually match up with Oxygen again, as Vatira did a good job dodging Rizer there, not bumping his own teammate. They match up again in the quarterfinals, and actually that time Oxygen was able to get the win, and you could tell if you watched this Swiss match live that Oxygen was competing. You know, even though they ended up losing 3-1, it was clear they had what it takes, and the Oxygen coach Snasky even mentioned that they felt like they had a pretty good matchup with KC compared to the other French 4, and they proved that in the quarterfinals, ending the run of KC's online streak. They had won every single qualifier so far, and one of the reasons why is because they have a guy like this in Vatira who could just do everything himself in a game in which his team had not scored a single goal. This is about as much of a solo play as you can get. Atto 50s, but ultimately it's Rizer with 2 defenders to beat. One tap over the top of Oski, and not only that, but he dodges what looks like a demo here. I want to see it in slow-mo just to get an idea of whether or not he truly would have been bumped if he didn't get around him. Additional touch over the top of him, and then look at this. Leans back and dodges a demo almost perfectly. I mean, Oski, usually you get ball or car. You know, you get one of the two when you challenge early like Oski does, and yet he comes away with none of them because Vatira pulls away, dodges the demo, sees Archie coming to challenge him again, boosts back to the ball, puts it on the back wall, and now there's nobody in net. As long as he can double it in, he's good. And he actually finds a way to shoot it around his teammate as well. I didn't even notice there that Rizer might have been able to save this if he if he didn't position perfectly. I want to watch it again from Rize's POV. Oh, he was close to saving it. Vatira had to outplay 3 people, and one of them was his own teammate. But yeah, this was a nasty shot from Vatira. And even though he was able to win this series, he was not able to win it when it mattered most. And Vatira missed his first ever, or I shouldn't say his first ever. He's definitely missed Championship Sundays before. But it's been literal years since he hasn't made it into Championship Sunday. And that's not just, you know, online events. That's LANs. That's everywhere. The man does not lose. And this brand new Oxygen squad with Joyo found a way to get him to lose on a Saturday, which is big news. But I have a feeling that he's going to find his way back. You know, of him or Vatira and you know, the KC versus BDS, I do expect KC to be more likely to be still getting that spot. I'm not so sure about BDS. They should feel a little bit more worried, but there's a lot more chances. We could still end up with the same 4, but for now, Oxygen and Resolve doing what they need to kind of spice it up. We hop on to Zen POV at the beginning of overtime against Jobless. This is another quarterfinal matchup, and if you're wondering who Jobless was, it's X-Moist, except without Joyo. It's instead with Ixo. And Vitality trying to not be another one of the EU top 4 to lose in this day, because a couple of them have already fallen, and we talked about that, but they managed. Not only did they manage to not lose, they actually ended up taking the event, which should be no surprise at the end of the day. When you look back, it's like, yeah, either Vatira or Zen are winning these EU regionals. It's actually a surprise that neither one of them actually won the major, so shout out to Gentlemates. But Zen had not lost a single event in any point last season. If you guys remember, he won every single qualifier, then he won the spring major, and then he won the LAN. But it should be no surprise that after a long offseason of everybody trying their best to create the teams that could take them down, as well as really having the carrot in front of them to chase, which is Zen and his Vitality team. Meanwhile, Vitality have to be relaxing just a little bit. They deserved it. They earned it after a perfect run to end the season, and maybe that showed in Major 1, but now the fire better be there again for Vitality, otherwise it's going to be a bit too late, and they proved that it probably is here after the end of this qualifier number 4, as they came out champs, and in large part because of the way this guy Zen likes to play, but also Alpha 54 and even Radosin, because people love to give Radosin crap, but the reality is he is a very high-level player, and whether or not he has a couple silly moments where he taps it in his own net, there's tons of times that he plays amazing, but maybe not quite as good as this guy, who hits an absurd shot to finish this all out. And let me break it down again for you in slow-mo, because I have a feeling you probably didn't catch everything that happened here. I know I didn't the first time I watched it through, but here is Radosin, who wins this up to the corner. Rezi's getting chased on the back wall, and somehow, some way, Zen is able to get a first touch reset on this. Air rolls around, empty jumps to take this shot in this moment to give it a little bit more power. He's not flipping, he's just empty jumping, so pulling off of the control stick while bending backwards. Quickly lands on the back wall, jumps off, gets an instant read on the post bounce, and puts it directly in the net. I mean, this is absurd. Even watching it slow-mo, it's hard to keep up with everything that's going on, but we'll watch it again full speed to give you an idea of just how quick he's making these decisions and how he is just one with his car to be able to move like that and have no trouble finishing it off. Zen ends up winning this overtime. He ends up winning the whole event. They go on to beat Jobless and then Resolve, and they finish off with beating the Gentlemates. The all-French final was unavoidable despite the fact that 2 French teams did lose in the quarterfinals, so they found their way to the grand final all the same. But these are some of the nasty shots. I mean, was this the best shot that you guys saw all weekend? Was there a shot that maybe I didn't cover that you guys liked? I don't know. This one's absurd, and it probably comes in number 1. But there is one more thing I want to show you guys. Maybe a contender for best play of the weekend. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying the videos lately. We've been on the run to 100,000 subscribers, and hopefully we're going to get there before the end of the year, and it's all thanks to your guys' help that we have a chance. Now, I don't want you guys to have to subscribe for no reason, so why don't you guys just subscribe on the off chance that a high-level pro team in a Game 7 elimination game happen to triple crossbar. If they triple crossbar, then let's say you guys have to subscribe. Wait a second, there's 1. Wait, there's 2. And there is 3. One of the highlight plays from this weekend, and probably had, a bit to do with the result that this match ended up having. But hey, listen, I don't make the rules. Apparently, a high-level pro team can triple crossbar, and they did, which means you guys do have to subscribe, and I will catch you guys next time.